Hey guys, how are we? How is your Tuesday afternoon? Coming in live, we're going to have some really cool chats today about owning your brilliance and charging your worth. Now, while I wait for people to jump on, I know that this is the first official week school is back, so I know that so many people are busy. Getting stuck back into business and finally having some time to spend on your business now that school is back. I know I'm exactly the same. I was just having a chat to Laura, who is one of my membership peeps. We actually just did a podcast together, which was really cool. And we were saying how, like, yesterday, the 1st of February, was like the 1st of January for us. And I know a few other particularly mums around here that have children definitely feel the same. So if you're here, let me know. Hey, Lauren, how are you, gorgeous? I'm just bringing up this stream so I can see it. Now, if you haven't done a live with someone using StreamYard before, Amanda, that was Amanda that said, hey, Amanda. Definitely there is a link above. You can register your details with StreamYard, and then it means I can actually see your name when it comes through my streaming service. Hey, Mel. So those that have that I'm saying your name, obviously you have. If otherwise, it just comes up as Facebook user. So while all of you people are getting used to me using StreamYard, I am trying to bring it up onto my phone, and that's so that I can see everyone's comments too. Alrighty, here we go. Lauren, 1st of Feb feels like 1st of Jan. Totally, 100%. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to get stuck into it so that anyone who's catching the replay can get stuck straight into it. Shaky school start. My son took all his stationery on a swimming carnival and I hadn't name labeled it yet. Oh no. And we forgot about coding class that started at 8. That's not a mum fail. That's just real life, Mel. It all happens. It all happens. Amanda, hello. Yes, you did do it right. Yay. Now what happens now? So what happens is if you register your details with StreamYard, if anyone else is using it, then your details come up on their lives too. So it goes across the whole platform for anyone that uses it at all. So that's really cool. I love that. I love that about it. Cool. Yeah, and Mel, don't be hard on yourself. It's all good. It's all good. It's life. Things happen. We can't beat ourselves up about that stuff because that's just life. We're not perfect. All good. All right, so let's get into our chat. So this little series, I've got a series of 4 live streams that I'm going to be doing over the next 2 weeks. They're going to be on my page, like my Facebook page, the Social Hub with Stacey Marie, and my Facebook group, Fully Expressed Entrepreneurs. And there'll be live streams. There'll be the most recent one will always be pinned to the top of my page, and they'll also be in the announcements of the Facebook group. So they'll be totally easily replayable if you can't manage to be on live or can't stay for the whole thing. I'll also put them over into IGTV as well and probably send them out to my mailing list all at once, or maybe this week's I might send out at once and then next week's I might send out all together. So the Social Biz series is a series of videos or live streams that I'm going to do around some topics that really stood out to me when I ran my last business coaching program. So I'm in the launch phase of the Social Formula, which is a program that supports people who want to or already do offer social media services to their clients. So for people who are already established in social media or those who want to start being established in social media. And these are some of the things that really came out in the last round that I did at the end of last year as really big, juicy topics that were probably the things that most people were really challenged with and where people had the most breakthroughs. So this one, we're going to be talking about owning your brilliance and charging your worth. There is, now I'm going to totally shoot myself in the foot because the other titles are, give me 2 seconds, I'll be able to tell you exactly what they are. And they're on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next 2 weeks. Just got to go in. I can't remember them off the top of my head because that's just life at the moment, isn't it? Why is it not coming up? All right, the next one, I think it's on this Thursday, is attracting new clients that light you up on auto and putting it on autopilot. So that's really around, you know, being able to get conversations happening in your business with the right people, and then being able to get those conversations happening without you necessarily facilitating them all the time. So that comes down to, you know, probably two key things, like really talking to the right people so you're attracting the right clients, and then how to really just make it easier for you so it's not so time intensive. And then the next one, which is next Tuesday, is serve more people and scale your biz. So that's talking more about how to break free of the one-on-one. A lot of people, when I ran that program last time, wanted to break free of the one-on-one. So people that were doing one-on-one client social media management and wanted to move into coaching or group coaching programs or something like that, so that they could scale their business and not feel like they were just spending so much time working in their business all the time, and, you know, had time to do things for themselves. And then next Thursday, and scaling too, like obviously being able to make more money with a scalable model. And then next Thursday, I'll be talking with Marissa Robinson from Marissa Robinson Digital around her experience with offer clarity. So that's kind of what the series is about. And it's really to give you guys a taste of what that program's like and the things that we talk about in there, and obviously share some great stuff for free on my channels, and we can have good chats about it. So I thought I'd kick off with the chat about pricing, because I know it's something that most people are challenged with. And if any of you are on live, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your own pricing. How are you feeling with it at the moment? Do you feel awesome about it? Are you like, yep, I've freaking nailed my pricing, it's the best ever? Do you still have those little pricing wobbles where you go, nope, don't know if I've got it right, not really sure? Or are you, maybe someone's sitting there going, I actually have no idea how to start with this. Like, I think maybe you feel like you've got it all wrong, right? Just be honest. Let's get it out there and let's talk about it, because I can guarantee I felt all of those things myself. And this is not about me sitting up here saying that, this is not me sitting up here saying I have it all figured out, even with my own pricing. Like, I still go through pricing wobbles myself. That's part of growth, I think. I go through stages where I'd question it. I go through stages where I'll have to phone in a friend. Like, what was that? What's that? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I have to phone a friend and ask for support and advice on, have I charged this properly? Have I put the right price on something? So this isn't about me saying that I've got it all figured out, but it's about having an honest conversation about the things that I've learned along the way, the things that I've coached my clients through, that's helped them be able to tap into a better energy when it comes to pricing. And I think that's the main thing we're going to talk about today, is the energetics around it. Because I think that's the most important part, is the energetics around it. I feel like our pricing, particularly as women, is so wrapped up in our self-worth, and it's like we've put our own heart on the table when we put a price on something, and it stirs up. Men don't seem to have the same sort of problem, I don't think. Men just go, yeah, I fucking deserve to charge $5,000 for this. Whereas a woman will sit there and grapple with it for so long, because it's all wrapped up in our self-worth, right? And that's when you get the pricing wobbles and all that sort of thing. In the program, I delve a lot deeper in the strategy around pricing. We talk around, how to build up and increase your prices. What is a good strategy for maybe a new service offer? Reviewing and how to actually determine whether or not you're even in the market, not in the market, or you're going to fuck the market and just do what you want to do anyway, right? And that's okay. All power to you if you want to do that. I'll cheer you on every single time. And this time around too, we're going to talk about charm pricing and what that is, and maybe what that looks like for you, and energetically where you want to sit in that conversation. That's been a relatively new conversation. So that's the stuff we'll be doing in the program. So what has everyone said? Heather, no idea where to start. What sort of business do you have, Heather? I'd love to know. What is your business? Because obviously pricing for like e-commerce or product is different for service-based or courses and that sort of thing. Amanda, I think I'm underpricing, confidence issue, 100%. That comes back to the worth thing, I think, and look, I would 100% say you're not alone. Most people are undercharging. Most people are. I do it too still, right? Lauren, all my prices are going up. Yay! I love hearing that. I am never confident with my prices, but I know the prices I have aren't working. Cool. So I'd love, Lauren, if you're happy to share, well, if you're still here, I'd love you to share how you knew they weren't working for you. Like, what was the sign for you that your prices weren't working? I'll talk more a little bit about this as we keep going, but I'd love for you to share if you feel comfortable to. I do have notes if I keep looking over. All right, so I'm going to share 3 things about pricing that I have learned myself and from coaching clients that I think will really help you today around how to own your brilliance and charge your worth. Now, I talked about the fact that our worth is so wrapped up in our pricing is so wrapped up in our worth. Heather, social media marketing. Awesome. Well, this is great for you to be here and listen to this, because this is exactly the stuff I do in the program I'm talking about. The other thing I'll say about pricing is that everyone has an opinion, right? So, and we all know that saying, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, right? It's like for the mums out there, when you have a baby, everyone all of a sudden has an opinion about what you need to do with your baby. And because becoming a mother is like the biggest personal growth journey that you'll usually ever go on. And I find one of the jobs I question myself the most about in the whole world. And I remember like instances like Marley would never sleep, right? And, you know, she'd be in the pram and I'd go into the shops and the chick behind the counter would say, "Oh, someone's hungry." And I'd go, "She's not," you know, the clenched, you know, that when you're replying to someone through clenched teeth and you're trying to be nice, it's like, "She's not hungry, she's tired. She needs to sleep." But then you start second guessing yourself and you go, "Oh, maybe are they hungry? Do they need food? Did I not feed them enough? Maybe I should feed them again." And then you go to feed them and you know they're not hungry. They don't want it. They need to sleep, right? So everyone has an opinion. There's always going to hear opinions about pricing. People love to give opinions about it freely. I kind of like, when I work with someone, my favorite question is, and I only had this question with someone exactly this morning on their pricing, a client, a member of the Social Formula program, we were talking about pricing. And my first question was, what feels good for you? What feels good for you is the first thing that I will ask, not what's your price and what are you doing? What feels good for you? Then we'll talk about what's the task you're doing. What are you thinking about charging? How do you feel about that? You know, that sort of thing. And then talk through some strategy around it. All right, what have we got here? Well, answers, Lauren, the cost of running my business is higher than the income. Cool. Well, that's always a really good indication that your prices aren't working for you. Another couple of ways to know your prices aren't working is you start attracting the wrong clients, right? So if you're pricing too low, sometimes you'll attract the wrong clients because they're making the decision on price, not actually what you provide. And there's just people out there that decide on price. That's just the way some people are wired, and that's okay. That's how they're wired, you know. But yeah, that's a really good sign. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren. I appreciate your honesty. Ashley, I knew it was time to increase my pricing when I wasn't excited. Yes, that's around the energy, right? The energy around and getting the energy of getting behind your pricing. And I'll talk more about that too in a second as well. It's so personal. It totally is. I worry about rejection. Yes, I know yes, that is definitely a huge thing, Mel. But on the flip side, I don't want to feel resentful if I'm working for less than I think I'm worth. Okay, cool. And then that comes back to being able to get behind the price you're charging. And I'll talk more about that in a second. All right. So I'm going to give three things away that, and this is really, these are the conversations I have with people every day when I'm talking to a client about pricing. This is the stuff that I talk about. Obviously, the strategy and everything behind pricing comes into it as well. But these are the 3 kind of energetic things that I always talk about, and probably the things that I would ask and talk about first before we get to, that kind of strategy stuff. So the first thing I'll say is that you can charge whatever you want. Like, really, there is no rule book around how you price something that you do. There's no rule book around how you price a product, a service, a course, or anything like that. You know, most things have a huge price gap. And low price does not mean low quality either. Now, a perfect example of that, someone who's online right now, is Lauren with your hashtag lists. You came out with your hashtag lists. They were a lower price point to start with, which isn't a bad strategy to start a new service with a lower price point and build up from there. That's actually a good strategy to do that. And right, and you're increasing those prices now. They're one of the things that you've looked at. But the quality was freaking amazing. Like, low price doesn't equal bad quality. Conversely, a high ticket price doesn't necessarily always mean good quality either. I bought some things from Kmart that still are going 5 years later. Actually, no, my current toaster I bought from Kmart 8 years ago. It still works, right? And I know people that have bought big, fancy $500 toasters and they broke within a couple of years, right? So it's totally subjective. There's absolutely no rule book. If you want to charge $100 for something, charge $100 for something. If you want to charge $50 for something, charge $50. If you want to charge $5,000, charge $5,000. It comes down to the next point, which I'll get to in a sec, which is what is the price you get behind and show up for. But I think if you have a look at the thing about having no rule book, I can't speak. Ashley, love a good Kmart bargain. I freaking love Kmart. I'm not ashamed to say it. I do purchase consciously as well, and I do make an effort to purchase from small businesses and stuff, but there's some things I'm just going to go to Kmart for because, it's high turnover stuff like kids' socks and their school socks and stuff, right? So if we think about the rule book, and I'll give you an example of where the rule book in pricing has been turfed out even just recently, and might make things a bit more tangible for you. If you think about the whole tiny offer phenomenon. So for those of you that don't know what a tiny offer is, a tiny offer is where you put out, it's usually course creators that will put this out. It's a digital product. So a tiny offer will be something that's normally somewhere between like 20, maybe even less than 20, but like $20 to $50-ish. And it will usually be in the form of a digital download, like a self-paced course, all that sort of stuff. And it's a lower price point. So I have these things in my online shop, The Social Lab, where I've got courses for $27. I've got templates for $27 or less than $50. I think I've got a social media style guide for $19. So it's all stuff that is downloadable. So you're not really getting like face-to-face access with, the coach if it's a mini course or something like that. Now, the thing is, most of those tiny offers are so full of value. They're freaking awesome. I've purchased quite a number of them and I'm like, man, you could so much have charged $200 for that. I know that my own tiny offers, I could charge $200 to $300 for some of them. I know that. But there's a strategy behind it, right? When you purchase a tiny offer, and if you've purchased one, you would have seen this yourself. You purchase the thing, the $27 thing, then you get offered something else at the checkout for say $17 and you go, oh yeah, sure, I've already spent, it's only $17, I'll add that on. Then you get sent to another page where they offer you some other thing. And by the end of it, you've probably spent over $100, right? That's the strategy with tiny offers. Is the whole strategy behind them is you make the money from the upsales and the bonus stuff that people purchase, not just from that one little thing. Like, that's the whole strategy. But my whole point is that whole tiny offer phenomenon has really thrown low pricing on its head because they are full of value. Like, you are getting oftentimes hundreds of dollars worth of digital products for a really small price. But there's a strategy behind them and they work, right? Whereas years ago, it was like, oh no, don't charge $30 for that. Put $500 on it. It freaking works. It's a digital product. People put money behind it in ads. They sell hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, make $500,000 for a product they don't even have to do, just deliver it digitally. Right? It works. The other sort of things as well, is like foundation pricing or intro prices. They 100% work. If you're doing a service for the first time and you've never done it before, do an intro offer. Of course you're going to do that. You know what an intro offer does? It helps you determine how long it's going to take you to do that thing every single time you do it. So it gives you a lot more market research than never doing the task before. It helps you energetically feel into whether that price is right for you and helps you decide, do you really want to keep doing it? I've put out offers for services and programs and done intro pricing before and then gone, I don't want to keep doing that. That's not where I want to be. Like, and I've told this story before when I first started my business. You know, I offered social media management. I didn't really want to be doing it, but I put out these offers and I gave it a go. And, you know, those intro offers just helped me really determine that it wasn't really where I wanted to live. So there's really nothing wrong with that, right? You can charge whatever you want. And here's the other thing. So that's kind of more talking about lower prices. If you wanted to think about higher prices, some of the things that come up for people, and this has been coming up for me a lot lately when it comes to pricing, because this is where I'm at in terms of my growth, is you can charge, you know, charging more than your peers, right? You can charge more than your peers. You can absolutely do that. There's no rule book here. Just because someone else charges $500 for something doesn't mean you have to. You could charge $5,000 for it. People will buy it because they'll buy your energy, right? Mel, I've bought courses and coaching that were expensive and not as valuable as some I've purchased for equal or lower price. Totally. Absolutely. I go through that all the time. Definitely. Yeah, I think you learn a lot from probably pricing lower on the spectrum. And then, but then you up level when you start to charge more, and particularly when you start to charge more than other people in your industry. And that's where I'm at in terms of my growth. Is, you know, I'm stepping into new places and starting to charge more for things, and, you know, and that's a whole new level of growth, and, you know, new level, new devil, and all that sort of thing. Amanda, hey Amanda, how are you, darling? They will buy your energy 100%. Okay, so that's the first point I wanted to make. You can charge whatever you want. There's no rule book. Absolutely no rule book to pricing. Okay, the next point I will say is, when it comes to pricing, price your offer to what you can show up for energetically. And that might sound a little bit woo-woo and a little bit airy-fairy when it comes to pricing. But what I mean by that is, what pricing, let's say you're putting together a price for, okay, I'll use my program as an example, the social formula. So the first time I ran it as a beta course, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to feel into what is the best, what can I show up for, right? Now, I could have run a free focus group. I could have 100% done it free, but I knew that I wouldn't show up in the way that I wanted to create the course that I'm creating and have created and am still creating and will continue to, if I'd done that. I knew that wouldn't happen. So I had to put a price tag on it, but it was really stripped back. So I didn't want to put an over $1,000 price tag that's on it now. I ran a beta course for less than $300. And you know what? I put way more than that much. Like, the people that were in that beta program will tell you they got thousands of dollars worth of coaching, but I was happy to show up for that because it served a purpose for me in my business. It served a purpose for me with a new offer that I was putting out. This was a new offer. It was something I hadn't done before. And energetically, I was happy with it. They got a freaking bargain. I got some amazing people that were there to help give me feedback and support and were willing to, like, be my little test dummies. And energetically, it was a great space to be in. Now the price tag on it is $1,222. It's fucking worth more than that, right? I know that. But at the time, that was the price I could buy in. That was the price I was willing to show up for. And so what I guess, like, what I'm saying is that if you put a price on something that is not enough, you won't show up for it. So if you're putting together, let's say you're putting together a course for something and you put a price that's too low, you often won't show up to market it. You won't show up to launch it. You won't show up to do anything for it because, and I think it was who was it said a little bit further back. Let me see if I can find their comment. maybe it was you, Ashley, that was saying, oh yeah, it was you, Ash. She said, I knew it was time to increase my pricing when I wasn't excited when a sale came in. So if you're not energetically okay and attached with that price, you're not going to show up to launch it. When someone buys the course or the product or the service, you're going to sit there and you're going to go, ugh, now I have to do the thing for the price that I don't really want, right? And then you don't show up for that client. You don't do the best job that you can do because you're not attached to it, right? Even if sometimes you could charge less than you should, or you may charge more than you've ever charged before, if you are energetically able to show up for that price, you will do the best job that you can do. And sometimes it's just about feeling into what that looks like for you so that you can show up for the process. And conversely, if you put too much of a price tag on a course, and I know this myself, I won't show up for the launch because I'm too scared to ask for that. I'm too scared to ask people to pay that money. 100%. So, it works both ways. I think, and this is a danger I touched on before, was probably the danger with charging not enough is that you sometimes attract the wrong people because you're attracting the people that will only decide on price. And there's a certain element of people out there who will decide primarily on price, and that's okay. That's just how they're driven, right? And sometimes your price is going to meet exactly what they need, even if it is a higher price or a lower price. But if you're undercharging, you will often find you can attract some of the wrong people, which then also impacts the energy that you bring into that service offering or that course or that product that you're selling, because then you run the risk then of getting people who aren't a good fit for it, and they might ask for refunds or cancellations or to get out of their contract. And that's not fun either, to be having those conversations with people. And then that puts that energy into it as well. So yeah, really feeling into what is the price you can show up for. And if you can show up for it, you will give your all to it. You will 100% give your all to it until you reach that next pricing ceiling where you go, I need to increase this again. When I now create a product and I want to think about how to price it, I always say, what price can I show up for? If I'm creating a new course, what price can I show up for? If a client asks me, how should I price this? I go, what feels good for you? What price can you show up for? Ask yourself those two questions. I guarantee the price will come to you 100%. So it's got some, yeah. I can't speak. Comments. I found this pricing too high in resume writing. Yeah. Yep. And sometimes so here's another energetic thing about pricing. Sometimes you price it wrong because you really don't want to be doing it. So sometimes if your pricing isn't right and you're feeling that energetic push-pull with your pricing, is it that you're pricing your product, service, program, whatever it is, not the way that you need to because you don't really want to be offering it anymore and you're getting in your own way, or you're trying to force yourself to offer something that you're just not aligned to anymore? And maybe that's what happened. I don't know, Amanda, but maybe that's what happened to you with the resumes, because I know your business has evolved so much lately and you've moved into this, into all your readings and everything, and you've moved on from that. Lauren, 100% true. Yes. Yeah. And I know sometimes, like when I've priced something and I haven't gotten behind, because I do like courses, obviously, and I haven't gotten behind the launch, or, I'll sit back and I'll go, okay, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Did I do that because I got in my own head about my pricing and I'm not really charging what I feel energetically aligned to? Or did I get in my own way with it because I don't want to be doing the course anymore? And I had to ask myself about that with the social superstar formula when I got rid of it 12 months ago. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't now be doing something that I've always wanted to do, which was business coaching with the social formula. So I had to go through that, right? Can seem a bit woo-woo, Mel, this is so hurtful. I have more clarity on what I want to charge now. Yay! My in-person service is not what I really want to do. And I think my energy shows on sales calls. Totally. That is definitely a thing. So I haven't had a client yet. I want to raise the price, even though I'm worried people will think it's too expensive. And I guess that's the thing, the energy shows, right? So if you get on a call, like a one-to-one call, and at the end of that call, you're going, okay, yep, so I can help you. And the service that I do is this, and I charge this much for it. See you, bye. Then like, that's not a good energy. Like, you want to sit there and own it and go, this is how I can help you. This is what I do. This is what the cost is. But I also ask people when I jump on a call, what's your budget? I'm pretty open with people about it, because price does come into it. It does become a decision-making factor. It does come in, because people will pay based on value. People will just sometimes pay based on the price tag. People will pay more if they see value in something too. So definitely, if it's not right and you're on that call, you're not going to put your energy behind owning the price that you've got either. And that comes across, particularly on a phone call. You can't hide on a live phone call with someone. Ashley, I'm pricing higher than ever right now. Woohoo, go sister. I love that. And I'm really not sure if I'm aligned or I'm just fearful because it's stepping outside of my comfort zone. It could be both. It could be one or the other. It could be both. Usually I would probably say maybe it's fear to start with. So get into the energy of owning that price point and seeing what that feels like. And if you still are feeling that, I just can't do this, it could be an alignment thing. But usually I would start with fear and say, what are you scared of? So, something you could do is, and I know particularly like you do courses too, Ash, it could be a matter of, okay, so what's the worst thing that could happen if I launch my course at this price? What's the best thing that could happen? Like, write those lists down and see what comes of it. Sometimes writing that down gets rid of the fear. There's no fear left then, right? Because you go, yeah, the worst thing is nowhere near, it's not enough for me to buy into that anymore. I'm going to buy into the positives of it. Yeah. If your energy's off, do some journaling for sure. That's something that can definitely help. This is how I can help you. This is what I do. We all think that. We don't want to raise our prices, fear of people. Totally. We've all been there. I've been there. I still go there. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect at, like, this sort of money mindset stuff we have to work on all the time. This isn't stuff that just comes and goes really easily for people, right? All right, point 3. Okay, point 3 I'm going to make is this. Give yourself permission to get it wrong sometimes. Write yourself a permission slip to say it's okay to sometimes get it wrong. It's okay to stumble and trip on your pricing. It's okay to price something and then go, I stuffed that up. Right? At the end of the day, and I've said this a million times before, most of you that have been following me for a while would know that I say the saying a lot, there is no such thing as failure. There is only an opportunity to learn. So from every time you price something incorrectly, you learn something from it. You've just got to be open to the lessons instead of going, well, I stuffed that up and no one bought my course because my course didn't sell because I didn't price it properly. Instead of saying that, go, okay, what did I learn from this? And oftentimes too, particularly in like a launch phase, or if it's a new service, new product, new course, sometimes it's not even the price that was wrong. Maybe it was something in your marketing or your launch strategy that was off. Maybe it wasn't even necessarily the price, right? But be okay with, failing forward. Be okay with that. That's totally fine. If you look at all the big people that are successful, they didn't get there the first time they tried. They got there from learning and growing and failing forward and finding the lessons in everything that didn't quite go right for them the whole way, right? For sure. And if I go back to Ash, if you're feeling like your energy's off, is it the price that you're feeling off with? Because I know you do courses and stuff. Or is it the process, or is it something else that feels off? Or, is it really the price? It might be something else too. And here's the thing, particularly with those of you out there that might be doing courses or services and stuff, sometimes when I feel off with the price, I might go, okay, instead of, because sometimes I'll go, no, this is the price I want to charge for it. Why do I still feel so energetically off with this price? And then I might go, okay, so what about if I added this in as well? So it might be a program where I add in a 30-minute session with me, right? Or I might add in this extra bonus content or something like that. And then I'll go, yes, now I feel that I can do that. Now I feel energetically aligned to this price. Now I feel like that was right. So sometimes it's not that the price number tag itself is off. It's just that you maybe just need to tweak the offer or tweak the value you put with it as well for you to be able to show up for it. It's not necessarily about always reducing the price. It's just about, put what else can you put into that offer or take out of that offer to show up for it, I think I saw a question from you, Mel. Hang on. So I'm just going to go. I've been pricing out of fear, so I price too low and still don't make sales. So I'm just going to price what I think it's worth. Perfect. And I think the thing is, here's the thing. It can cost you just as much to get a client who pays you $50 as it does to get someone who pays $500. Right? So sometimes you can fall into the trap of thinking, oh, if I price lower, people will buy more of it. That's not necessarily the case. And that can be a bit of a danger zone if you're a one-to-one service provider. And we'll talk more about this next week when I talk about breaking free of the one-on-one. Is if you're pricing too low and you're a one-to-one service provider, people will buy, but you'll be working a shitload of hours for not enough revenue. Right? But again, that's a lesson. What do you learn from that? What's the lesson there? What can you learn? Mel, how do you know when it's price versus message versus, I can't speak today. How do you know when it's price versus message versus offer? I think, again, if you feel into it and say, if you feel that it's the right price, it's usually one of the other two. Right? And just kind of, I don't know, take your offer out on a date. That's something Carly Marie says a lot, who's one of my mentors. She said, take your offer out on a date, sit with a journal, go and have a cup of tea, pull out a glass of wine, sit and think with it. One of the things I do when I'm thinking about a new offer is I often go for a walk. And I'll put my headphones in and I'll just think. And I'll just let things come to me. And I'll be like, and sometimes by the end of it, I've come back and I've gone, yep, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I just needed just some time to percolate on it. I often say a lot, give yourself time to percolate. Maybe it's a matter of what are the things that you need to do to let those things drop in, to let that stuff percolate. Sometimes I'll go for a walk and I'll come back and I'll completely retransform the offer. It's going to add these things in. It's going to have a whole new price tag and it's going to look completely different. Sometimes I phone a friend and go, I just need to talk about this and talk this out because I'm feeling something's off here. And sometimes you learn just from the do, right? And I guess that comes back to it's okay to get it wrong. It's definitely okay to get it wrong. I normally start, though, when it comes to, like, if you're talking about offer, message, price, I start with what's the offer? What's the thing that I'm creating? What's my message? So who's it for? What's it do for them? What's the outcome? And then I work on the price. So by the time I get to pricing, I'm already so energetically aligned to the offer. The pricing comes quite naturally, although sometimes the price comes to me sooner, but I often just write it down, when I'm mapping it out, I'll just note it down somewhere and I come back to it once I've done those other things. Because sometimes when I'm working through my offer and my message, I might add in extra things that I want to add to that service or add to that course. And then I'll come back to it and go, oh, I need to increase that price. Or I'll go, actually, I don't want to invest that much time in that group coaching program. I'm going to do that as a digital product and I might just totally reduce the price. So I kind of feel into those things first. People pleaser. Oh, Heather, sorry. I'm a people pleaser and can't handle letting a client down. It's such a common thing, right? No one wants to let a client down. No one does. That's so natural. Like, no one wants to let someone down. But there was a statement that came out of the last round of the social formula, and I can't remember what week it was in. It might have been in the week we talk about client care and onboarding and offboarding. And this was something that I said in a live stream, and I said, just because they pay you doesn't mean they own you. It was pretty powerful to the members then. I don't know if that resonates with you now, Heather, but just because they pay you doesn't mean they own you. So you're sitting here being so scared that you're going to let someone down. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is happening for you. Maybe you're running yourself around doing too much. And then that can energetically affect your pricing too, because you're doing too much for what you're pricing at, right? I don't know if that's happening for you, but that's just something that came in for me. Totally the thought. I tell you who's a great person to follow about people pleasing. One of the ladies in my membership, Lizzie Molt, she just go to her website, it's www.lizziemolt.com. She's done this whole thing about people pleasing. Her podcast has a whole bunch of episodes on people pleasing. She's got like a people pleasers quiz and all that sort of stuff. She's a great one to follow on people pleasing. I did some work with her last year around my own journey with people pleasing, so I totally get it. Nail on the head. Yeah. And it's because I think it comes back to our female energy of wanting to serve people. Us women biologically are predisposed to we're predisposed to be nurturers. We're predisposed to give. Like, we are biologically designed to grow another human being and raise them. So, we do give a lot. It's in our natural biology, but we've got to remember sometimes that that desire can often be our undoing, and have those fail safes in place to bring ourselves into check, to go, oh, okay, what I'm actually doing here is I'm giving too much because the fear is starting to own me. And then, like we said, you're not getting paid enough for the service that you're doing because you're running around trying to to do too much. Lauren, just because they pay you doesn't mean they own you. No. And here's the thing. You can get out of a contract. You can fire a client. You can refund someone if the energy isn't right for you. I refunded someone some money only yesterday, right? Because energetically, I didn't want that money in my business because there was a miscommunication around a charge. And I just went, you know what? I'm going to refund you. I was well within my rights not to do that. But I was just like, I just energetically don't want that money in my business. So I was like, okay, here you go. Have it. Have it. Energetically, that feels better for me to do that, whether it's right or wrong. Amanda, I think that's you saying that, rather than reducing price, adding in. Yep. I think definitely adding in bonus stuff and extra value is really good with people doing courses. Or if you're doing, like, if you're a service provider and you've got digital products you can add in, or digital trainings or tutorials and stuff, things that don't require you to be hands-on, really good for adding in value. All week I've been telling myself, I serve, I deserve. Totally. The other thing too, it's funny, that whole saying, I serve, I deserve. Sometimes when we say that, it's like we're energetically telling ourselves we have to serve people all the time. But really, that person's paid us. That's the energy exchange. That's the energy exchange, is the payment. So we don't need to necessarily serve them. We just need to energetically give them what they've paid us, or that we've promised them as well. So it's another way to think about it, because there's a lot of talk about service, being in service of your audience and being in service of your clients, but they've already given us the energy that was required for that when they paid us as well. Caroline, hi Caroline, great advice. I love that you're loving it. Okay, so that was my 3 tips. Were you can charge whatever you want. There's no rule book. Price for what you can show up for, right? And if you are pricing something lower, then have a strategy to increase it. That can totally be done. It's okay to get it. It's okay to get it wrong, and it's okay to fail forward. We don't have to be perfect with it. And then the last thing I'll say is own your brilliance. So, ironically, I don't know how this came out today. I think obviously it was a message that was meant to come out today, but a friend of mine, we read a lot of books. We'll listen to books. We both do audio and often go, oh, I'm reading this book, or I heard this quote, and have this little book club conversation going back and forth. And she texted me this morning and said she was reading a book or listening to a book, and it was more around like advice for teenagers. I think we have this conversation a lot because we've both got budding teenage girls. And the context was around wanting to do what their friends rather than what they want to do. But the quote was, "Don't be afraid to be yourself. Everyone else is taken." So when it comes to standing in your own brilliance, remember that everyone else is taken. You are the only you. And I think there was another quote from like Dr. Seuss. It's from one of his books, and it says, no one you know is more youer than you, or something like that, something along those lines. I think there's a whole Dr. Seuss book that talks about the whole thing. So when it comes to owning your brilliance, just know that no one in this world is more youer than you. No one can do what you do like how you do it. There's always going to be someone else doing what you do. There's always going to be someone else selling what you sell. No idea, no offer is totally unique. There's always someone else doing what you do in their way, but you're the only one that can do it in your way. That's how you own your brilliance. Mel, I tend to give discounts or freebies. So that's why I'm telling myself I deserve to be paid now. Yes, 100%. And that's common too. We go through that. You learn from doing that too. Totally learn. I did that in my first year in business. I took on jobs for friends I didn't want to be doing. I discounted it, and I don't do that anymore at all. I'm just like, no, I am not the person you need. This is who you need to go and see for that. And they're like, but I want you to. And I'm like, no, not doing it. All right, so that's our chat. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what you resonated with the most, what you liked about this chat. Would you like to hear more of these sort of chats from me? This is not normally a conversation I have on the front line. It's normally stuff I do with my paid members, but I really wanted to have this chat on the front line today. So I'd love to know what you really resonated with it. And for those of you out there that offer social media services or want to start offering social media services, my program, The Social Formula, is a 6-week group coaching container. It's a group coaching program for people that work in the social media industry. And it kicks off 2 weeks from today for 6 weeks. It is a live coaching round. And the things that we cover in that is, uncovering your purpose, where you sit in the social media industry, offer clarity and pricing, tools, so your complete toolbox for how to run your business, client care, so onboarding, offboarding, automation, all those things that make your life easier, and then your own selling system. So you can work in your business and be bringing in leads and new clients all the time as well. We also talk a lot about how to break free from the one-on-one, because a lot of people that I work with, that's also kind of one of my things. It's one of my things I'm really passionate about. Yes, Mel, you're in the program. I'm so excited to kick off in 2 weeks. It's going to be awesome. And yes, is breaking free of the one-on-one, and how you can do that, how you can scale out, how you can start to get those sort of, I hate the words passive income, because I don't believe anything really happens without working for it, but get those bits of passive income, or, recurring income, I guess is probably the better word for it, coming into your business. And yes, so if you want to find out more about that, please DM me. I'm more than happy to talk about whether or not you are the right fit for that sort of program. If you think you're not ready for it, or we can talk about what that looks like for you. The other great thing is you get access to my membership for 6 months. So if it is someone out there that's relatively new, all of my how-to stuff is in that membership. So you get the business coaching plus all the how-to stuff from there. So it's not just all the business and energy and the businessy stuff. There's lots of how-to, which you get inside of the access to the membership for that time too. We do like a live coaching lesson and a Zoom call every week. And you get to keep access to that forever access. And then you get to do the next rounds when they happen again. So the guys that did it the first time, some of them finished it, and now some of them we're going to work one-on-one together now. But a couple of the girls, they're just like, I just want to do it again. Like, I didn't get to finish it the first time, so I'm going to do it again. That's how I run with my courses. I don't like to go, you've done 6 weeks, see you later. I like to give people access so they can experience it the next time I do it. So the link for it is in the bio, or just shoot me through a DM if you want to chat more. Would love to hear from you. All right, guys, I will see you Thursday at, I'm going to say it was 11. Maybe just check the events tab on my page or the group. And we're going to be talking on Thursday around, generating leads with your dream clients and putting it on autopilot. Alrighty, guys, have an amazing day. I'll see you then. Bye.